1978, head coach Ray Ock, running back Jay Washington, Harry Walters and Brian Hirosian on defense, and quarterback Dieter Brock. That was the first year I had season tickets here at then Winnipeg Stadium, up here in the West Upper Deck, Section 1, Row 8, seat number 12. This place provided some great memories over the years. Probably the one that stands out from then was the year the Montreal Alouettes came to town with former NFL stars Vince Ferragamo at quarterback and Billy White Shoes Johnson at receiver and kick returner. Well, the Bombers weren't impressed that day. They throttled the Alouettes behind 3 touchdowns from William Miller, their little running back who scored right here in front of me about 3 times that day. You know, it's not just the players, though, and the games that you remember. It's some of the people that you are around you as a season ticket holder. My brother and I sat up here in the upper deck, and in front of us right here in row number 7 were guys we called Moose, Muggsy, and the Chief. 3 guys who liked their beer as much as their football. And invariably, one of them would trip on the steps right here, coming up with 2 beers in his hand and end up with it all over him. I still have the ticket stub from that seat out in the West Upper Deck for this one too. High up in Section X on the east side, where I spent much of the 1980s. Heroes of the day were quarterback Tom Clements, Willard Reeves, the great running back, his white horses up front, including Chris Walby, Jeff Boyd, the receiver, and Tyrone Jones, James West on defense. There were games in the cold and snow like it is today, and games of torrential downpours where I remember rivers forming down either sideline. Most memorable of all, though, from the 1980s, 1984, of course, the year the Bombers finally ended a 21-year Grey Cup drought. This place has a whole different feel up here in the press box. Cozy, warm, and comfy, usually dry, except for the odd broken pipe over the years. I've been up here since the 1990s, first as the CFL statistician, recording every one of Matt Dunnigan's 700-plus yards that day he set an all-time pro football passing record. Another highlight, probably the 1991 Grey Cup game in which Dunnigan and Rocket Ismail led Toronto to a win over Calgary. That era also saw the great U.S. experiment. Teams from Birmingham and San Antonio, Shreveport, Memphis, and of course Baltimore, the team that won the U.S. team that actually did win a Grey Cup. By the end of the decade, I'd moved down to Newspaper Row over there, chronicling the ups and the downs of this football team in the pages of the Winnipeg Sun. Who can forget Milt Steagle's record-breaking career, the performance of Kahari Jones in a stint at quarterback that was almost unmatched in Bomber history. Charles Roberts, one of the great running backs this team has ever seen, and of course the great Canadian defensive lineman Doug Brown is just finishing up his career this season. And another highlight from that era, probably the 2006 Grey Cup, the last of 3 Grey Cup games to be hosted here in this facility. BC defeated Montreal, if I remember correctly on that one. And now it's come to this, one last game. The Blue Bombers again trying to end a long championship drought, this time 20 years without a Grey Cup. After this game, they'll take a wrecking ball to this place. And all I'll have left is a few ticket stubs and a whole lot of memories. Paul Friesen, Winnipeg Sun.